right. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Roslyn. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Very well, thank you. Very well
Yes.
indeed.
Are you warm where you are?
Yes, I'm sat next to the radiator, which has been on this morning, I must admit. How
That's
about
good.
you?
Same here. I'm sitting behind radiator. It's warming my back. the
Same
weather
here,
is the weather is
weather.
changing. Yeah, the
I
weather is
know.
changing. Yeah. So
Very autumn weather.
yeah, good to see you, and good morning to all our viewers everywhere you are. So we say thank you again for watching. And thank you for kind of increasing our numbers. We hope you've been taking in one or two um, some lesson learned and all of that. So please keep watching and subscribe as well. So when we drop any new videos, then you will be alerted. Thank you. We're here today. This week in UK is the menopause week. The exact date is actually 18th of October. So yeah, so business awareness week, menopause week for everybody, for businesses, individual, collectively. So yeah, and there'll be so many awareness, so many videos, so many kind of points that people will be kind of dropping in there. But we're here today, Michelle and I. We're here today. Rosalind again, Kurumi from HR Depth.
Michelle Smith from Clarity and Beyond.
Yes. So today we'll just be looking at it from the business perspectives, how menopause affecting lots of people, even men as well, in terms of how can they support their partners, their wives, and all of that. And from the business perspective as well, menopause is not just for women. The policies or the awareness is not just for women. As a man as well, how can you support your partner or even your wife, your daughter as well? And the whole point is making the business ensure they have the menopause policies as well, or some kind of signposts, to signpost their employees in terms of where they are struggling or supporting any loved ones at home. And also this will actually increase sickness or decrease sickness and absence, because if your employee, a male employee, is going, supporting a wife or supporting a daughter or a partner at home, and if that partner is not right, it will affect the productivity at work as well. So it'd be nice for them to understand what menopause is and what support is out there, and even how an employer can support them as well. So yeah, Michelle, menopause, like I said, Tuesday, 18th of Friday, the 18th of October is Menopause Awareness Day, and it's an important day to raise awareness, and recognize health and well-being implications, many phases when going through this menopause, because it's a lot of things that actually a lot of women are actually the dread to kind of face as well when it comes. And follow on from our last guest, we had Karen that actually joined us our last episode, and she talks about wealth and health and well-being, and she actually talked about her own experience, what she went through before she was eventually diagnosed as being going through menopause. So if you want to show support as an employer, and recognize this subject, we're here to talk about it today. So yeah, feel free to drop some comments as well in the channel. I think coming back from the employer point of views, I would think it is important for employees going through the menopause themselves, to be able to know that they have an employer that actually supports them and encourage them to open as well. So, i.e., there must be a policy, even if it's a 1-page or 2-page policies, to know that actually we're here to support you. Employers should be able to be aware and understand, what menopause is. And this will improve the workplace practices as well. And one of the things that actually I would suggest as well, to be flexible in terms of time off. I know as a business owner, we are trying to run a business, but we need to think about, if employee, if they are not happy at work, or increase of sickness and absence in their record, it will affect productivity of your business. So it would be better to prevent the problem than to then wait until the problem occurs before you then start solving it. So it'd be nice to build a support network and educate your managers. If you're a business owner, you are the managing director, then you then have managers that support you, the manager, your employees. Educate them, on symptoms. Even the employee themselves going through the process can actually allow them to educate you on all the symptoms, because what Michelle might be going through might be different from what Rosin, is going through. I'll stop there and let Michelle add before I then kind of continue.
There's so much important stuff that you've said there, Rosalind, and I think two things that really, really, really flagged up for me, and I think we're going to be sharing some case studies as well during this episode. But the first thing that really flagged up was this issue of sickness absence and the ability to reduce the levels of sickness absence, either for ourselves or for the people in our teams, by recognising the stress and the anxiety that often sits around menopause. And when I talk about the stress and anxiety, I don't mean that just for the women that are going through perimenopause and menopause. It's such a valid point that you raised earlier about the men who have women in their lives that they can support through this phase in their lives. So when there is quite a high level of stress and anxiety around menopause for the woman going through it, and also for the partner supporting her, it's worth appreciating the fact that stress, it builds in levels. So if somebody is having a hard time at home, say a husband supporting his wife, because it's stressful, it's in a stressful environment, and he's doing his best to support his partner, his stress levels may increase, and that might mean that for him it's more difficult to cope with some of the things in the workplace, which might then be interpreted as stress at work. But actually it's looking at the whole person and appreciating the circumstances that apply to them and how they are dealing with stress. And I think building the awareness of these issues, and also providing people with the information and the strategies to be able to cope with some of the things that they're facing, means that they're much more able to deal with stress across the board, whether that be at work or whether that be at home. And that's when I think you really do see an impact on sickness absence levels, because actually as employers or managers or leaders, we're kind of saying, okay, one thing might be the straw that breaks the camel's back when it comes to stress, but actually if we're looking at this as an issue in a whole person kind of way, then as leaders and managers and owners of businesses, we're much better able to support people. So that really, I thought you are so right with what you say, and actually if we can look at this, kind of zoom out a little bit and look at the whole picture, then that is really, really, really beneficial for everybody. And that absolutely means that you get more out of the people. They feel more valued, they're seen and they're understood, and that has a positive impact on the business as a whole. And actually we can do that for ourselves. We might be sole traders, we might be the only people in our businesses, but actually if we're able to take that step back and think, okay, what is going on here, and what can I do to be, one, kind to myself in the moment, and two, what are the strategies that I can use to help me through this difficult phase. And I think a lot of what you're bringing in terms of the sort of organisational perspective, we can apply to ourselves as well.
Of course, definitely. And that's why we said it's very important for the male employees as well. They have that awareness, Yeah, I don't know. I was having conversation with somebody. I'm not sure if it was Karen. Somebody said, "Oh, men, they go through menopause as well." I don't know. I've not come across that research. Obviously, maybe it's called something else, or it was a joke. I don't know.
I think with actually referring to the reducing levels of testosterone in men,
Yeah,
and how
yeah,
that has
yeah.
an impact, you know, on health and well-being, and mental
Mm,
fitness, and, you know, mental health. So yeah, I think
sure.
it's well worth a mention here, because yeah, as we get older we change, don't we, all of us?
Yeah, I think gone were the days I would think, oh, I'm sweating, or even especially when it's summertime, it might not even be the heat, it might be what you're going through. But until you have the test to just kind of, okay, let me confirm. I think Michelle mentioned earlier we're going to talk about case studies. Maybe it's not that we talk about it before we then go into the workplace one. So we think about when you then have, you kind of see some changes in your body as an individual. You know, you've done everything to just kind of prevent it. I think at some point human elements will kick in. Oh, let me Google, let me see what is going on. And you then think, oh, yeah, could it be, premenopause or menopause or whatever that I'm going through? A lot of people might think, oh, actually I'm 40. I don't think, seriously, a lot of people, they go into menopause as early as 40 years old. And I think it depends on the gene, or I don't know, history from the families or something. So rather than being in denial, I think it would be best to kind of take the leap of courage and then go. It's just a simple blood test, because that was what I did 2 months ago, because I noticed that things that I love doing, I was struggling to do it, even though I was saying, oh, this is what I do. Oh, this month I always do this. Oh, this time of the year I always do this. And I then find it difficult to kind of push myself. And I noticed that every night I sweat, especially in the middle of my chest. My PJ will be kind of like a pattern. And I noticed as well that the level of my tolerance was decreasing. There's some things that I would take from anybody was just like, oh, I kind of overthink. I'll just start thinking, and I just thought, oh no, I can't take this. And before, it was nothing to me, until I just said, oh, let me just go to the GP. And I had a blood test, and officially it was confirmed, you know. And I think it really helped me in times. So there were loads of leaflets I was given, loads of links to kind of think about, loads of, even medication that you could take. I think the choice would then be yours to study your body, to kind of go for that option. So that's my case studies, because, and I think for me as well, I think in a word, a lot of people call it hot flushes. Hot flushes is what is associated with menopause. And seriously, we're going to talk about it. There are other symptoms that will come that you think. Some people don't even experience hot flushes. It comes in different forms. I'll talk about that later on, because I have a friend that actually the first time she was sitting beside me and she started removing her clothes. The way she was breathing, I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? So people experience it in different forms. So that is my own case study. So I don't know, Michelle, if you have one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I have had several conversations with women in my community recently around the point in time in which looking back, with the benefit of hindsight, and thinking, do you know what? I didn't realise at the time what was happening to me, but actually now I can appreciate it for what it was. So if I think back to when I left my corporate career, if I'm really honest with myself now, I would have been about 41, 42. And I had a real crisis of confidence and thought, I need to do something else. I don't fit here. I can't see myself in the sort of career trajectory that my HR director told me I should have. Notice, should have. When he sat me down in an office and said, okay, you need to be looking at how you get to HR director. And I can still feel the anxiety in my stomach at the point that he said that to me, because I was a huge resistance to that idea. Now I understand that wasn't where I was meant to be anyway, but the associated anxiety that came with that really made me question myself and question my career and question my choices, and that resulted in total breakdown in confidence in myself, And I had, as I say, I've been having quite a lot of conversations with women who've had a very similar experience as me. But one recently was an identical carbon copy of what I've described to you there, where the woman had been in a corporate career with an idea of where she might be heading, and suddenly found herself resisting that idea. And with that hindsight, she's able to look back and say, do you know what, I know what was happening there. And a lot of the women that I work with will describe some form of loss of confidence. And it's not a coincidence that once women hit perimenopause and then move through into the menopausal stage, that they will find themselves in that place too. That whole reduction in estrogen and how it has impacts on virtually every single bodily function that we have is huge. And so therefore it makes sense that confidence and self-doubt will really come to the fore as a result of that. And I think the other thing that I'm finding really interesting as well is that a lot of the information that's out there about perimenopause and menopause talks about brain fog.
Yes.
And to me, brain fog just suggests an inability to really think clearly. But I'm finding a lot of women have described to me what I would call butterfly brain, where they're all over, I need to do that, and I'll do that, and then they'll forget maybe, and then they feel disjointed. They don't know how to focus. They don't know what direction they're going in. Coupled with the lack of confidence, then results in a complete, oh my goodness me, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know how to do it, and that just kind of, it builds and builds and builds to the point that they find themselves thinking, oh, I don't know. And that can make you feel quite down and quite sad, and then that kind of opens the door to increased anxiety, depression, all of those things that actually reduce our productivity, reduce our ability to make decisions, reduce our ability to decide what to do next. So in terms of case studies, I'm mentioning these things because actually it tells me that I wasn't alone and I'm not alone, and that if lots of women in a similar sort of age bracket are experiencing the same things, and we're now able to talk about this stuff, then we can come together knowing that it isn't us, that we can start to break down that self-doubt, we can start to look at it in a much more objective way, and then we can come together and support each other.
Of course. Yeah. It is very difficult. And I think if I can come in terms of you use your own case studies, what you're going through earlier, and one of the person that you meant as well, that people don't want to talk about it, they don't know what they're going through. And I think if I can then relate it in terms of maybe years and years ago, maybe it was actually a taboo for people to talk about it as a subject. I don't know. But people need to understand the awareness is so great now. And that is why the October month is being dedicated. There's so many things going on in the month of October, which include this menopause awareness. I just want to kind of add that menopause is actually, is a natural part of women's life, and it marks the end of reproductive cycle. So for some people, anyway. But like I said, I think previously from what I've heard is it was actually treated as a taboo subject. So by explaining, people to explain themselves, or people just look at it a different way. But especially if you then, and I think it's now that you were talking, I was thinking about it. What then if you then have a male manager Was that what was classified as taboo? Was it a conversation that a male manager wants to have with a female employee? Even the employee, a female employee, would they be comfortable if they're going through this, having that conversation with a male manager? And again, I think this is why, you know, the awareness is supposed to be for every employee, regardless of your gender, for them to be able to support this, you know, what people are going through, you know.
Absolutely.
So,
And you've been so open and honest with your case study there, and you have shown how being proactive and going out there, you know, speaking to the GP, you know, exploring what's going on, and then the relief of knowing, okay, well, at least now I know what's going on. That's really important. But to build on that, you know, if a male employee had a female employee who'd fallen and broken her leg and wasn't able to work and needed a phased return to work or needed some extra help in the work environment, there wouldn't be an issue. And actually, you hit the nail perfectly on the head when you said this is a natural phase in life. 50% of the population are going to go through this. I mean, come on. It's just part of being human. So why is it so difficult, you know, or why are there situations where there are those scenarios where a woman doesn't feel comfortable about talking about something that's just part and parcel of life? So I think that is a really interesting perspective, and I'm really, really curious to know, when it comes to policies and procedures and things like that, how you support that male manager to have that conversation in the most natural way possible.
Well, if I look at the policy that I'm actually developing at the moment, you know, obviously as a company, we want to run a company, we want to make profit, right? So we want to support our employees as well to go through this life, you know, through this new life, you know, even when you then look at it, because you, Michelle, you talked about earlier on, if I broke my leg, it should be treated the same thing, you know. I will have to have a look at it in terms of the same way a male manager, you know, will support somebody that wants to become a parent. If I talk to you, I'm pregnant, as a male manager, you know what the policy says about what you need to support me with around, you know, health and safety. You do risk assessment for me as a pregnant person. You ask for my B1 to evidence that I'm actually pregnant, and my B1 will show where my due dates will be, and you support me to calculate, you know, when, you know, my leave will start. You let me know what my salary will be. I think menopause is the same, you know. It's just to make sure, you know, the same awareness that you go along the way, or the same awareness that you put in, or the same effort you put in to understand what maternity leave is, you know, how to support somebody that wants to become a parent, or even a carer, you know, for a relative, you know, for caregivers. You should apply the same principle to somebody that comes to you that says, you know, well, I think I'm going through this phase. I think it might be premenopause, or it might be menopause, or even there's something that I called, one of the things that are included in the policy is what we call postmenopause. Michelle, I don't know, maybe you've heard about that. This is a time after individual has not had a period for 12 months, 12 consecutive months, you know. Those are the things, so many things women are going through. So I think it's just the awareness. Once the awareness is there, that female or male employee should kind of keep in an open mind and just say, you know what, I'm here to learn this policy. I'm here to understand how I can support my female employee, you know, same way I can support them in anything, flexible working and everything, sickness, maternity leave, adoption, or parental leave policies, treat menopause policies and the awareness the same way, and, you know, all will be well. And I think the negative side, I think even for small business, they'll be looking at, oh, there's so many policies going on. Oh, does that mean I have to pay that individual if they take time off? Seriously, it's just to kind of how You can support them. You balance it. It's work-life balance, flexible working. Because if earlier on I mentioned preventing people problem, employees problem. If you then don't support them, what then happens? They go on long-time sickness, you know, and then what happens? You have to pay them. So in order to prevent this, try and be flexible and understand where they're coming from, you know. So that is just my own contribution around that for now.
And when you think about how important employees are
Mm-hmm.
in the workplace, you know, you don't have a business if you employ staff. If you don't have staff to work for you, you know, if you need people to do the jobs that keep your business moving, then
Love that.
you've got to appreciate that you are actually, no matter what your business is at its core, you're running a people business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got to understand the best way to
Mm-hmm.
retain and support those staff, because ultimately, you know, the cost of sickness is huge, and that person may well go and take with them all of their knowledge, all of their experience, all of the stuff that they have poured into your company for the time that they've been with you. And that, how do you put a financial value on that?
Of course, of course. And I think also I love that, because that then comes back to, as an employee, then you then have to sit down and think, what motivates me? Some people, it's not just the money, it's not just the salary, it's the experience that actually they're given, you know, their knowledge, their expertise, even those soft skills they're actually pouring into supporting your business that motivates them. And flexible working is very important. Flexible working, I would do whatever I like, I will do whatever I would do to support your business, but I just want the flexibility. So that is what, for me personally, when I was raising my kids, anywhere they don't have flexible working, I don't apply. It's always the first thing I always look for in the job description and the job advert, you know. Yeah.
And are you finding that actually the flexible working requirement is even bigger now? Because I've heard it said anecdotally that the younger generation now, even before, you know, them becoming or wanting to explore being parents, even before that stage in their lives, flexible working is something that they're really valuing. And as I say, that's anecdotal, that's what I've heard.
It is, you're correct. You're correct. Yeah, I've got teenagers as well. I've got young adults in my house. Flexible working is very important to them. They love their spaces, you know, and it doesn't mean somebody having flexible working doesn't mean they are not productive. They are even more productive. There's so many flexible workings. We have compressed hours, we have reduced hours, even for parents as well. You know, you have times. It doesn't mean those people are not flexible. It's just for employers to kind of sit down. And I understand people just say, oh, it's easy, I'm trying to run a business. But like you said, Michelle, you know, you're trying to run a business, but you need people to support you to run that business and to be more productive. I always tell employers, you know, your staff, they are not just resource. They are a valuable resource. Don't treat them like a piece of, you know, treat them as a valuable resource, not just any resource, you know. Yeah, flexible working, the millennium generation, I call them. It is very important, very, very important. Yeah.
So what I'm taking from that then is that embed that in every single aspect of your business.
Yeah.
And actually, I think, you know, again, to think of us as those of us that run our own businesses on our own and perhaps won't ever need to employ staff. When we think about one of the things, or certainly for me, one of the things that I wanted was flexibility and freedom. And actually, if I want that from my business, then it's only natural to think that anybody that might come at a later date to come and work with me would want the same thing too. So why would we see people that come to help us any differently?
Of course.
So if if somebody is running a business where they are employing staff,
Mm-hmm.
um, and let's imagine that at the moment their workforce is only men, is there
Yeah,
a requirement for them to have a menopause policy in their organisation?
it is very important because when you then think about the 9 protective characteristics, you need to cover everybody. You're talking about inclusivity, diversity and inclusion. Doesn't mean that because you only have, especially in construction industry, let me just put it this way, the construction industry, you have more male than female, but now you then have female coming into construction as well, because construction is very broad. People would think construction or carpentry or painting and decorating. You have the site management, you have the project management aspect of it, you have the quantity surveyor, you have the estimators. Part of the construction, it falls under construction, and that might be the ones that the women parts, the women want to go in through. So why should you then think because this is a company that is actually a male kind of industry, I should not have menopause? There should be. Earlier on I spoke about it's not just for women, even the male parts, they might have women in their life that they need to support at home. Do you understand? So whether you have your company is just female or just male, industries, please do have a menopause policy. So like I said, even if it's just a male industry, have a menopause policy, because like I said, it's not just about them, it is about the people that they live with as well. If they are happy employees, they will deliver well, your productivities will increase. So just because they are male doesn't mean you should not have the policy, because they need to support people in their lives. If they are happy at home, that happiness will show at work.
Absolutely.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back to that whole person
Yeah.
approach, doesn't it? If you see
Yeah.
somebody as a whole person with a life outside of work as well, where there might be things, considerations, then I think you're providing a really great environment for your employees to feel as though they can flourish and give their
You can
absolute
flourish.
best.
Yeah. Yeah. And they can go home as well and use this as an awareness for the women in their lives, because earlier on when we talked about, say, there's a premenopause, there's menopause, there's postmenopause as well, you know all this thing includes is actually something that we're including into the menopause policies as well. And then include the symptoms. I said earlier, gone were the days when we think, oh, it's only when you experience hot flushes that is evidence that you're going through menopause. Seriously, no. Not all women will experience those symptoms or hot flushes, even all the other symptoms that actually comes with it. Every symptoms, however, is different. So from the medical research that we did when I was putting this policy together, it says 75% of all women do not experience symptoms. 75%.
75%?
Yes.
Wow.
25% experience severe symptoms, and that is included in the policy that I actually put together. We have so many. Let me just mention some of them. you know Talking about the physical effect, I've
Yeah.
talked about hot flushes. you know I talked about night sweats, which I said I experienced, and it's just my chest only.
Yeah.
But the latter
Me
can be
too.
disturbed, and it disturbs your sleep. Seriously.
Absolutely.
Not
Yeah.
just individuals, just think about your partners as well. If I
Yeah.
don't sleep, I keep getting up because of it will affect my partner as well.
Yeah.
So, and it brings me back to your
Absolutely.
question. So if my partner is not sleeping well and he goes to work, obviously, and he doesn't understand what I'm saying or what I'm going through, and if that policy is at work or that awareness I'm getting at work, I can bring it home to my partner. Then there's headache as well. There's fatigue. And you know that joints aches and pain as well. Another shocking thing that I found out, palpitations. Palpitations, seriously. Michelle, you talked about anxiety. Do you know anxiety and panic attacks as well? Especially on the train. Yes, on the train.
Really.
Yeah. So, and when you start then having palpitation, it can lead to heart disease as well. So, not that is just even physical aspect of it. Then think about the psychological effects as well.
Yeah.
You talk about the low moon swings, poor memory, concentration, you know. So brain fog. Some people will call you, oh, I've got brain fog. Oh, it's Monday morning, I've got brain fog. Sometimes we talk about it, we joke about it. I know I've seen a lot of people, oh, it's Monday brain fog. Oh, it's Friday because it's weekend. We need to take these things seriously, you know. That's the psychological part of it as well. So it goes, and I think it's like I said, I'm going to stress it again that no matter how small your business is, even if you are starting out, just think about what are the policies that I can put in place that when I then start having my employees, I'll be able to support them. There's so many reasonable adjustments. If you are faced, with that employee, with some employees going through the same things, reasonable adjustment you can put in place for them. One of the things that I talked about, the policies, the policy that I'm talking about is actually think about maybe position that employees, beside or closer to a window, if they are experiencing, reason, it's simple things because people would think, yeah, some employees will think it's going to cost me a lot. It's not, just reasonable adjustment. And if you have your company is a company that is actually your employees, they must wear uniform. Think about in terms of the clothing, your uniform, are they tight fitting top, the jacket, even if it's compulsory, can you adapt that jacket for them, or can you make it fit for purpose? Those are some of the things that I think it will not kind of break the bank for small companies. Yeah.
And I think that is really key, isn't it?
Yeah.
You overthink this and think, and your brain immediately goes to, it's going to cost me money, I'm going to have to give time off, I'm going to have to do all these things. But actually, if you think about it from a very logical perspective, there are small things that make a big difference. And actually asking, working groups within an organisation, bring women together, what would make their life better? What little things can the organisation do?
Yeah.
That, and then by doing things like that, by consulting and discussing and saying, look, we're interested to hear, what can we do?
What can we do? Yeah.
You absolutely show how you value your people.
Yeah. And also, when Karen came last time, we talked about, what did we call it? Lunch and learn. Christmas is coming now. A lot of business will be thinking, oh, I've made some profit, let me give it to them in cash as bonus. That is just a temporary thing. Think about things that will last long. You can bring people like Michelle, professionals that can come into your organization, people like Karen, or even Michelle as well, to talk about lunch and learn for male and female employees. Talk about, okay, health and well-being, and that can include menopause. Let them listen, and that is for me is a long-time gift that you can give anyone for Christmas is coming. So
guided relaxation sessions, or the ability or rather the opportunity to come and chat through, share experiences and create community around that shared experience. I think that all those sorts of things where you bring people together, or you're offering them something that just complements all of the other stuff, the medical support that's out there, any occupational health support. There's so much that you can do. Absolutely. Get creative about it.
Exactly. So that's it for me, to be honest. I don't know if you have anything before there's a line that I just want to kind of around the policy. Anyway, I just thought about that Christmas thing because some of my client I'm supporting talking about, because obviously in the contract of employment, you need to be very careful when you want to say the bonus might not be mandatory. Do you understand? So there should be a caveat, because if the business doesn't make money or no kind of profit that particular year, employee will be expecting bonus anyway. So, and that was why I brought that in. If your business is making money and you are thinking about giving them a bonus, it's good to give them bonus, but think about a long time bonus that will help them, and that will actually help your business as well. So yeah, and just be mindful that some people going through menopause may not only have minor symptoms that do not affect their day-to-day life, whilst others, can have such severe symptoms that can classify as disability. Just to bring that in, it depends on what they're going through. Just to be careful around that. The more support you give them, maybe the less it will be classified. I don't know, but just to understand what employee A might be going through as a symptom might be different from what employee B be going through. So don't compare. Don't say, okay, employee B is not going through the same, but she's going through menopause. She doesn't have all of these things. Treat them differently. Yeah. So yeah.
And I think the point that I ever were to recruit a team, I would absolutely be speaking to you, Rosalind, about policies and just doing this stuff that actually positions an organisation as an employer of choice, because actually it shows how much they value their people. So I think it's great, that you've described how you've helped organisations to implement these policies, because what a valuable thing to do. And I think I would encourage anybody in that situation where they're thinking, actually, we need to do something about this, to reach out to and have a chat.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good. I love that. I always tell my clients, I love to be an employer of choice. Seriously, I do it. It's not everything that's going to cost you arms and legs. So just simple things. So yeah. So it's Menopause Awareness Week, Friday the 18th. So what are you doing as an employer, or even as an individual? What are you doing to look after yourself? What are you doing to support your partner? So yeah, keep the awareness going.
That's a great way to kind of bring us to that point where it's Friday, 18th of October, what we're doing for ourselves, what we're doing for those around us, what we're doing for our teams. Thank you for asking those questions.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, comment. We're always open to, shall I use the word correction, or to make it more better for you. And if you think there's any subject you want to hear, we'll try our best to bring somebody in, our guests, to come and talk about it. So
I echo everything that you've said there, because this is about sharing information, and if there is something that you want to hear or explore, then we're up for that, aren't we, Rosalind?
Yeah, we are. We try our best.
We do.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. Thank you. See you soon.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.